We lead off with the very latest on this morning's breaking news. Israel and Hamas are agreeing to the release of hostages in Gaza in return for a pause in the fighting. There are reports that it will begin at 10 a.m. local time or 3 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. But the Israeli strikes and ground offensive, well, that's not stopping just yet. This is video into us from Rafah in southern Gaza showing the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike. Rafah is one of the southern cities where Palestinians have been fleeing in more than a month of fighting. And this morning, Israel's military is urging more civilians to head south. Let's go live now to Briar Stewart with our CBC News team in Jerusalem. So, Briar, let us start with what we know at this hour about the hostage deal.
Well, in terms of just when the truce would start, we've heard from Egyptian officials that say it will be 10 a.m. local time Thursday. But I do want to clarify that Israeli officials haven't confirmed that, saying it will still be likely 24 hours. So the time of it might not be confirmed. But we know that this is a deal that had been worked on for several weeks, and there are different stages involved in it. The first part is that under this 4-day truce, which Israel is calling an operational pause, 50 hostages would be released from Gaza. They would all be children and women. And in exchange, 150 Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israel would be released. Now, on top of that, for every 10 additional hostages who are freed, additional Palestinian prisoners would be released. And so that is kind of the basics of the deal. But Hamas has also put out a statement saying that on top of that, there will be hundreds of more aid trucks that will be going into Gaza, carrying food, medicine, and fuel, which of course we have heard so much about how it is so desperately needed for the population there. And there remains a lot of uncertainty around just who the initial 50 hostages will be that will be released as part of this deal. There are reports that there will be 30 children, but it's estimated that there are about 40 children who are being held captive in Gaza right now. So there's a lot of very anxious families wondering whether or not their loved ones are a part of this deal. And that includes Gilad Korngold, who has several members of his family believed to be still in Gaza as hostages, including his grandson and granddaughter. Take a listen.
Nobody can imagine how we feel, okay? Imagine that your kid instead sleep in the bed with blanket and it's underground, deep. It's deep tunnels. 3 years old. My granddaughter, she's loved to jump all the time, trampoline and the couch, and she's very happy. There is a baby, 11 months.
And Israeli officials have talked about some of the preparations that are being made for when these hostages come out. I mean, you have very young children, infants, toddlers who have been away from their families in some cases for weeks now, possibly held underground that entire time. They will need health support, mental health support, certainly. And we should get some more details around the deal itself, confirmed details from the Israeli government tonight when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to have a press conference.
Okay, so more details possibly at that point. Briar, what do we know about the Palestinians that will be released as part of this deal?
Well, we know quite a bit, and that's because Israel has already published a list. And they've published a list of 300 names, even though for the first part of the deal, 150 would be released. And why this list has been published is because that Israeli citizens have a 24-hour period where they can petition to the Supreme Court to appeal the release of these individuals. So that is what's going underway right now. There are reports that some Israeli citizens and groups are actually appealing to the court. But the reason why Israel published this list of 300 is because they want to make sure that they have additional individuals that they can release if Hamas decides to release more hostages from their side. And in terms of who these Palestinians are, we understand that the majority of them are teens. These are people who are detained in prisons here for under arrest for a variety of things. The document lists some of the offenses, including throwing rocks, and there are other individuals there who have been accused of stabbing. But anyway, this list is now before the public right now. And because there is that 24-hour period, that is why it's very unlikely that that we will kind of see the actual release of the hostages and the exchange for the Palestinians until tomorrow.
And a lot of people are waiting for that to happen. Briar Stewart, thank you for this. That's our Briar Stewart with our CBC News team in Jerusalem.